Excellent.
Introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Nick Blais. I'm the set and lighting designer for Into the Woods at Yes Theatre, Sudbury Theatre Centre. Happy to be here. So set design and lighting design is sometimes a job held by two people, but on this one I'm doing both. Frankly, I like it that way because it gives me a strong sort of controlling hand of the whole aesthetic of the show in some ways. So the job for me is having some conversations with Mitchell about what the overall concept is for the show, and then finding a way to take the play, the piece, distilling that down into its like primary messages, its themes, and also its requirements for the telling of the story that's written, but also the requirements of this sort of new layer that we're adding to it. So the concept of this show is that a climate disaster has brought a group of people, strangers that don't know each other, to this relief center, this refuge facility, and there's a little girl there who's been traumatized by the disaster. We don't know a lot of details about it, but this group of people, this group of strangers, begin a sort of candid and improvised telling of fairy tales. It's musicalized fairy tales. So it's a stretch, but it's really beautiful. The set has to make it look like that these people have gathered in a place prepared for disaster, and so that the disaster is real for the audience that's also coming here. So that's sort of the primary focus of the set for Act 1. Act 2 is kind of an explosion into the fairy tale world, into a sort of fever dream that this girl is having in response to this traumatic experience. And lighting, as always, is to establish a certain amount of naturalism and visibility required, and then again, just knocking that away and going into a dense, colorful, theatrical, fantastical environment. I've seen productions where it's big and it's on a proscenium and it's got a forest that's dense and goes on forever, but it's 2D painted scenery or even like elaborate, expensive scenery, and I was like, okay, I've seen that one. I don't know if I can design that one better, but a tight one, an immersive one that the audience is complicit in, that I'm excited about. So very early on, we decided that we would have the audience on the stage with the performers, and that we knew we'd be working with a small space to tell this very, very big story that travels all over. I start pretty loose, on crappy paper usually, and just start sketching things I like. Moments in the play that come to me, sometimes just like shapes and lines and that kind of thing. When I feel like I've got something kind of close, I'm a bit superstitious. I take to a specific sketchbook. I've probably been through a dozen of these now in my life, but I take to a specific sketchbook that has black paper, and I take to it with white pencil, and I start sketching it out. And it's become oh, there's the set. And I have that idea, and that's usually the first time I'll show it to the director I'm working with, because I show them a finished, look how cool this is, look how exciting this is going to be. And once that's done, and that usually gets a bit of excitement, and it helps me get to the next phase, which is usually drafting. There's a long drafting phase, which is more the ground plan, the elevation, the how it's all gonna work, and it's a time-consuming phase, but it's where all the, I think, design magic actually happens. It's where you actually make, the thing that if you were to build it for real would cost 10 times as much and take a year. The way you have to do it in the theater is much faster, much cheaper, and that's where I think the magic really happens. So we do a lot of drafting, and then eventually I'm able to create these renderings from it. So these are 3D CAD, computer-assisted drafting renderings of the set. So we're looking at, Act 1 is this relief center. So there's aspects of Red Cross or FEMA, supplies around that are used in the telling of the story, but there's also theater junk around. There's a fly system and you know, milk crates filled with hardware and you know, audience seating, obviously. And then Act Two, it just, yeah, it explodes and it becomes a fantastical world, but created out of the same materials that we were introduced to in Act One.